ready to start the 5:30 agenda review meeting of the council meeting. We have ordinance on second reading and ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinance of the city of New Brunswick, Title 17 zoning, Chapter 1702, definitions zoning district. Number 2, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the city of New Brunswick, Title 10, vehicles and traffic. This is in reference to parking zones for handicapped persons. Number 3, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the city of New Brunswick related to penalty, and this is in reference to penalty for parking violations. We have ordinances on first reading. The amend the management salary ordinances for 2023-2025. An ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the city of New Brunswick related to parking zones for handicapped persons. Ordinance number 3, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the city of New Brunswick related to annual charges for water rates and sewer rates. And number 4, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the city of New Brunswick related to one-way streets and resolutions. We have 1 through 38. Resolution number 1, approve agenda amendments. Resolution number 2, approve payroll. Number 3, authorize refund for redeemed tax sales certificates. Number 4, to approve a resolution for authorization to enter into an agreement with New Tech Recycling, Inc. 5, approve request for use of city property as street closing for selfie with Santa and Mrs. Claus at Monument Square. Approve amendment of resolution 062256. This is with McDonald Group doing business as McDonald's LLC for engineering services. Number 7, an amendment of resolution 042271. The reason is for additional amount of $249.05 with Suburban Consulting Engineers. 8, approve amendment of resolution 062247. This is with Aetna US Healthcare. This is for the managed care fees, medical administration, and pro-maintenance fee. 9, approve payment for emergency procurement, water utility with Technical Components Company. Number 10, authorized purchase by police department with FDR Pitches LLC. 11, authorized purchase by police department from Hertridge Fleet Services. Number 12, authorized purchase by police department. This is for 4 Dodge Chargers with option with Hertridge Fleet Services. Approve authorization to rebid. This is to furnish and deliver food products for the Senior Citizens Resource Center. Number 14, resolution certifying review of the 2021 annual audit. Number 15, authorized corrective action plan for 2021 audit. 16, resolution authorizing budget transfer. 17, amendment of resolution 102256. And approval of relaxation of the city noise ordinance requested by TM Associates. Approve amendment of resolution R052266. This is requested by World Best to support construction of the 255 French Street project. 19, approve release of performance guarantee deposit to Edward Lesky Company. Number 20, release of site performance guarantee to Francisco Garcia. Number 21, approved Title 39 agreement, 786 Jersey Avenue, LLC, and the City of New Brunswick. This is for the New Brunswick Police Department enforcement of motor vehicle and traffic regulations. 22, approved amendment of resolution 092261. And this is with, to provide and furnish delivered diesel fuel for the Department of Public Works. 23, approve amendment of resolution 012260 with Trap Rock Industries. 24, approve award of contract with B&W Construction Company of New Jersey. 25, approve award of contract with Concept Printing, doing business as Concept Print. Number 26, approve renewal of license agreement with 15 Van Dyke Avenue, LLC. 27, authorize submission of application of grant with Middlesex County. 28, authorized submission of application of grant with Middlesex County. 29, authorized tax collector to transfer overpayments on several tax and utility accounts. 30, authorized refunds on several utility accounts. 31, approve resolution authorizing the acceptance of the New Jersey Clean Energy Planning Grant. 32, approve award of contract with Morton Salt Inc. 33, approve amendment of resolution 062246 with Aetna US Healthcare. 34, approve amendment of resolution R06622248 with CVS, Kermart. 35, approve chapter 159 budget insertion, Middlesex County. Number 36, approve agreement with County of Middlesex. 37, approve chapter 159 budget insertion, Middlesex County 2022 Arts Grant. And number 38, approve request for street closing and the use of city sidewalk, requested by Robert Wood Johnson, Community Health, for a community holiday event. After we're done with the agenda review, we're getting ready to start our meeting. The meeting will come to order now. Madam Clerk, will you please hold the roll?
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Egan.
Here.
Councilmember Fleming is absent. Council Vice President Escobar
Here.
and Council President Socorro Ludwig is absent.
Thank you. Please be advised that the notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act has been complied with and satisfied in that the annual notice, which gave sufficient notice of the time and place and conduct of all public meetings of the Municipal Council of the City of New Brunswick, has been filed with the City Clerk, has been placed on an appropriate bulletin board, and posted in the back vestibule of City Hall, visible to the public through the windows in the lobby of City Hall, New Brunswick, New Jersey, and has been transmitted to the official newspaper for the City of New Brunswick, namely the Home News Review. We have a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You can join me as a moment of silence as we remember Pearl Harbor today. Let's pray for those who have fought for this country and those who continue to do so. Thank you.
Motion to accept the minutes in the second.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Council Vice President Escobar.
Yes. Has the correspondence have been directed to the appropriate departments, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Council President, the correspondence received by the City Clerk's office was forwarded to the appropriate departments for further action.
At this time, we're going to go into ordinance for second reading. Ordinance 112202, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 17, zoning, Chapter 17.02, definitions of Chapter 17.04, zoning district. We're going to open this at this time for the public who would like to talk only on this ordinance for 5 minutes. Please, when you come up, state your name and just, again, approach the council and remember this just related to this ordinance. And members of the public who just come into the microphone, if you have any questions on this one or any comments.
Good evening. My name is Frankish Osman, and I'm the owner of 107 Hal Lane, a property which is very impacted by the new proposed ordinance. I have owned and operated this property for over 20 years on a daily basis with no issues from the city. I pay my taxes in advance, and I'm a good business operator. We have no environmental issues, as the property was remediated with legal documentation, and which has got no further action with her. My property fronts Hal Lane directly, with legal access to Jersey Avenue. Both of these roadways are heavily trafficked by trucks. Our neighbors are all commercial businesses. These include a container leasing company, a U-Haul storage and rental truck facility, a quick check gas station, manufacturing, and warehouses. Our property consists of 3 buildings that are leased by 5 tenants. It is recessed 130 feet from the main road, which is our lane, with a lawn and vegetation. All of my tenant businesses, in one way or another, are involved with trucks, truck parts, truck repair, warehousing, etc. It is well suited to its current use and zoning, given its location on Hell Lane and the neighboring commercial businesses. This proposed ordinance significantly impacts my property, the value, and the way that it currently operates. I'm concerned about the implementation of an ordinance that limits the use of my property and business now and for years to come. I'm requesting a personal meeting with the council and planning board to discuss the amended ordinance, as I only received notification of this ordinance on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. That's just 2 weeks ago, and over the holiday weekend. Thank you.
My name is Chad Lewis. I'm a representative from Universal Nutrition, from the same neighborhood this gentleman is. I would reiterate his comments as well. We have facilities on Terminal Road and Industrial Boulevard. While I agree sort of ideologically with the efforts, this is, from a business standpoint, a heavy burden, and would like to know more about it, its purposes, what the expectations are for existing businesses there, and what you're going to do to support this effort. I assume nobody's answering any questions today, so.
Well, we just, after you finish your statement, I will address that.
Speaking extemporaneously, so yes, surprised, interested, and I would like to learn more. Thanks.
Anybody else? Is Mr. Dominguez here? I don't see him. There's other of us here.
Ms.
Pinell was here from
Okay. If you could just, Mr. Dominguez in his absence, if you could talk a little bit about this, very briefly, a summation of the ordinance that we're trying to do.
Sure. So,
If you could get up and say your name.
sure. My name is Katie Pinello. I'm the principal planner for the city of New Brunswick, and I'm here for Dan Dominguez on behalf of the planning department. And so what this ordinance is doing is in the I-2 and I-2E zones, currently truck parking and container storage is a principal permitted use. And what the city is looking to do is to change it to a conditional use, so that there are a number of conditions that are placed on the use to mitigate any potential negative impacts on the neighborhood and the city. And I think the main thing I would want to convey is that this is truck parking as a principal use. So if you have a warehouse use or truck repair or something where there is truck parking, but it's a secondary use or part of the warehouse use or something, that is not impacted. This is to prevent like raising an entire site and just having a parking lot with truck parking as the primary use.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anybody else has any questions on this particular ordinance? You have to come into the microphone, say your name, state your name.
Hi, my name's Gregory Ames. I'm in the same neighborhood as all the other people who spoke recently. I too got the letter on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. It's good that the post office is efficient in delivering bad news before a holiday as usual. I read through letters A through J. I personally find it somewhat restricted to business and not restrictive to what we do at this time, but possible for future use. For instance, it says all trucks that utilize the site must be electric only by 2030. I really don't see that happening. I want to know if the police are going to stand out there and make sure they're all electric when they come in. And some of the other things I think are problematic. And I must say, if there was anywhere for a truck terminal to be in New Brunswick, all the way down at the end of Jersey Avenue really isn't a bad spot for it, because it has access to 3 state highways and at least 1 county road off the top of my head. And if you grant Frank a meeting, I'll show up too and add further thoughts. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Ed Kuna. I have a property on 7 Industrial Drive in New Brunswick. And it's a repair garage and there's truck parking there. And specifically it says 3 acres on the proposal. I have 2. And I've been there for 35 years. So I'm just wondering how this is going to affect my property right now. Because like I said, there's a repair garage there. Plus, I do rent some space out to local people to park their trucks to keep them off the road because there's absolutely no truck parking. But it's orderly and really, you know, I got Midco on one side with the transfer station and Ryder truck on the other side, Midco on the back, and then I got the other transfer station down the end of the street. So I'm wondering how this is going to affect me. Thank you.
Did you attend the planning board?
I got the letter right before Thanksgiving, just like everyone else. I never knew anything about this until just now. Thank you.
Ask her, Kate, we have a...
Are we taking time?
Kate, we have a question for you,
Okay.
Councilman
We
Anderson.
addressed those 2 issues, one about the trucks being electrical until 2030, which I did see, and that of 3 acres as opposed to 2 acres.
Yes, so as far as the gentleman's property, it sounds like the primary use on his property is truck repair. So these conditions would not apply to his business because he's a truck repair business, which is the primary use on the site, if that makes sense. So his property does not have to be 3 acres and his trucks don't have to be electric. It strictly applies to a truck parking terminal facility where there's no other operations going on except truck parking.
So it's preventing to have like, Councilman...
We were trying to
We
prevent
don't want a
parking.
parking lot of trucks in that area.
The intent is this applies to a truck parking lot. If he has a repair facility on his site, the principal use is the repair facility, and that continues to be a permitted use in the zone, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Sir?
Joe Denardi from Colgate Paper. Again, a lot of the neighbors that are on our road and just questioning, you know, the future value of our properties and the future uses that are available to us. But I don't think it particularly affects us at this point. But it's interesting enough to look at it for the future to see what may come of it, and you know, would object to changes. We also have a site on Frank's property also that we don't know whether it's affected or not, where we repair pallets. And again, you know, Katie explained it a bit and put some of our questions at ease, but there's always the future of things that we don't understand, and that's why we came tonight to understand it.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, Danielle Moore, Somerset Street, and after I'm hearing, may I ask you, did this went to the planning board already? This ordinance, would it go to the planning board or?
No, not yet. We have to, it's after this. I was just saying that just to go to the planning board when it's time for it.
Well, one thing I just like to comment on, where I'm hearing the residents, the owners were saying, wow, this was only noticed right before Thanksgiving. No, come on, I have to say, due to where the city council and mayor needs to take it more seriously about alerting people and seeing what the situation is going to be with the owners. I just find that very upsetting how hearing that they're saying that they didn't receive the letters until right before Thanksgiving, and then what? Most of the time the city council just goes on and vote yes, 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 without inspecting anything? Well, come on, please, this is getting outrageous with all these buildings that you're doing.
Thank you. And let me clarify myself, because I'm saying I did say something incorrectly. It's not the planning board. This is a zoning matter. So at this point, it's just us, right?
Well, that's what we were discussing. We believe that it would only go to the planning board or the zoning board if there were an application to do something in the area that was against this ordinance. So if there was an applicant to come before the city or the zoning board or planning board for the purposes of a use variance, once this ordinance is passed, then that would be the opportunity for neighbors to go and voice their opinions about it.
Thank you, because I just realized that I'm correcting myself.
So you're saying, is it gonna go to the planning board or zoning board or not after the votes count?
That if the council passes this, it doesn't have to go unless there's a business that is contrary to what is allowed by the zoning ordinance, and they have the right to go in front of the zoning or the planning to fight, for their case. So at this point, this is a zoning matter, so it's just, for us to take.
Well, I hope you really look into it, like I said, do some inspection first, to go with the property owners where their concerns are, before you just go ahead and vote something yes like you do all the time. And it's very sad that, wow, you don't really investigate anything to see what's going to be done.
So let me just say something again. So this is a bill or an ordinance, so we don't propose to have a large people of parking a giant truck parking lot at the end of Jersey Avenue. We don't want that in the city of New Brunswick. And we're sorry if that might infiltrate or hurt your business. We're trying not to do that. I believe that most of the businesses that you're speaking about will probably be grandfathered in. And we're talking about something that if it affected your business, you can contact our economic development office. And if you think it affects your business, we'll certainly see if it does. But we're certainly, this is what we're trying to do. We're certainly not trying to hurt any existing businesses out there. We're trying to prevent something that we foresee that could be happening in the future.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
May I ask if the people that have spoken before have spoken at all to either anybody in the department, whether it's Dan or Katie or anybody? Did I ask those questions that you have, Roll?
The notification came so late, sir, that we were unable to react to some of this and even get our heads around it.
So just to be fair, that you understand for people that just came here, even if you were here the first time, you couldn't speak on it because you're not allowed to speak on an ordinance on the first reading. So tonight's the night to be here to speak on that ordinance, just to help the clarification on that for some people that might be the first time you come to a public body and speak on this.
So let's go on the next speaker, and so we will continue with the flow.
Well, thank you first off for hosting this tonight. I am a contract buyer for a site in your guys' community that is affected by this. We actually went through the typical process of getting a property zoning report that has some correspondence from your zoning department, and none of this came up that this was a potential development in the site. If this goes through, I would just give a perspective from business side of things. The property values are going to be severely impacted where it doesn't make sense anymore. And I agree, we're not looking to do massive storage of yards, but a truck terminal itself is moving goods through a property, right? They're moving products for a local CVS or another local business that has palletized freight. That's what a truck terminal does. And while sites are grandfathered in, if you seek to expand a truck terminal, let's say it's 10 square feet and you're looking to add another 5 on it, this ordinance would prevent you from doing that, because the conditions that truck terminals are permitted by, those 10 conditions that I believe Katie mentioned, none of truck terminals would meet those conditions, and I'm not sure if that was the intent, but I just want to flag that passing this would severely impact a lot of the sites that are in the industrial zone area of your city. Thanks again for the time. And last thing, the short notice we got on this has us scrambling a little bit, where we're just trying to ask questions and get answers, and we've been seeking to get a meeting with your planning department, and we haven't been able to do it since Thanksgiving. I know it's a very busy time of year and everyone's got a lot going on, but we're objecting today and would ask for the ability to meet with your planning department and zoning department so we can understand the nuances of this and how it affects and doesn't affect potential properties in the area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, if we do that, then we'd have to go all the way back to first reading.
Yeah.
We'd have to do the whole thing over again, but I have no problem doing that.
Yeah.
Does
Anybody else?
do most people feel that they were slighted and didn't get the notice in time?
For sure. All of us. All of us.
Sure, I'll throw my
Go ahead.
hand in that one.
And there's other business owners who couldn't even attend because they didn't have advance notice. The neighbor next to us couldn't attend.
So I think that is you want to propose, does anybody want to talk before we keep going on this?
I'm just standing over
You're
here.
right.
Does
Yes.
anybody else? Go ahead.
Yes. And then let's just.
Yeah, hi, my name's Dave Beekes, I'm a property owner in New Brunswick. I just want to reiterate what the other people said. You had mentioned that your intention is to just prevent, I guess, large containers stacked 20 for, 100 feet high, whatever they do. That seems like a very reasonable thing to prevent. But when I read the thing, I see a lot of other things in there. We have this undefined green energy, all electric. Does that mean any vehicle that goes on the property? Does that mean just the forklifts? Who's enforcing this? Is Midco going to have to get 80 charging stations for 80 garbage trucks by 2030? Is the PSE&G to be able to supply them with the electricity to do that? There's a lot of things in this ordinance that your intention might be good, but when it gets enforced by the planning board and the zoning board, it turns into a whole different thing. I'm a licensed building inspector, I know how it works. And I'm very concerned that despite this council's good intentions, 5 years, 10 years, 2 years from now, we're going to see this thing blossom into something else. And I think that would hurt New Brunswick. The infrastructure of New Brunswick is very important to the people's welfare, to earning a living, and I really think some of what you're doing here may affect that. And I'd be very concerned. I think you guys should slow up. I think you should contact all these people here, have another meeting, and get some more thoughts, a little more input. Or at least more information out, because again, everybody said, we got this letter, 2 weeks ago. And it does feel like a little bit of a, hey, Christmas time slipped in. I don't think that was the intention, but that's the opinion. Thank you.
What I will say is, anybody else before we make a decision?
Council Vice President, I would just suggest too, Ms. Pinello is here to respond to these questions, and some of these questions I think can be answered for everyone's benefit. These are all been noticed, and
And I understand that.
Everybody was noticed.
everyone was noticed. It's quite an effort to notice everybody, and the city took on that, did that properly. And Ms. Pinello is here to answer these questions, so I think it would be appropriate for her to answer the questions so everyone could hear it.
Yeah, and we try to do that, and I understand that she's here. It seems that there's still some more questions. People didn't have a chance to really have the opportunity to digest, if you want to call it, the information, but we will try it with, if you want to come up here and let's just have, try to answer, as you heard the questions that the public has. I tend to believe that there's still more questions, and based on the information that I understand that we did notify, but I still also hear from the public, that they still have some, it's not enough. So that concerns me. So I would like to make sure that there's ample time, that we're not rushing. We have a whole new things to do, and give them more time for them to be able to answer those questions and be able to really understand what is it that we're trying to do.
Ms. Pinello.
So Ms. Pinello, can you just come up real quick? I know you gave Ms. Pinello.
No, sorry.
Hold on for a second.
Our rules.
I got it. Thank you, I got it. Ms. Pinello, if you could come up, please.
Can I just ask you, did any of you council members receive the same letter that the residents did?
Danielle, let's control the meeting. Let's get this under control. We're not gonna end the year. Go ahead. Can you ask, could you address some of the concerns that the public, these business owners have been, bring to the microphone so it could be?
Sure. So I do know that after the first reading, it was referred to the planning board. I believe it was addressed by the planning board and recommended at the November meeting. So that's why it's back for the second reading. And our department did the notice, and was in compliance with all applicable laws. The municipal land use law governs the notice, which is every property in the zone affected, as well as a 200-foot buffer around it. So that was sent out. I think the requirement is no later than 10 days prior, and we sent that out prior to that.
Want to comment on the electric things again?
As far as the electric issue, I personally did not draft the ordinance, but I know that Mr. Dominguez, when he's drafting an ordinance, you have to be informed by you do research on other ordinances that are similar in New Jersey, and I believe he did the appropriate research to determine that that was an appropriate standard. The other thing I would say is that if it's not like this is an outright ban on the use. If they can't meet certain conditions, the legal proof in front of the zoning board is just higher, that's all. So they would have to come in front of the zoning board of adjustment for the city and seek a D3 variance is what it's called. So it's not like it's outright banned, it's just that the legal proof for showing that it's an appropriate use is higher, that's all.
Thank you. Based on the information, again, I am not comfortable with voting for this at this time, but it's what
Okay, so why don't I make a motion that we table this so that people could get more ample notice.
Second.
Duly noted.
Roll call.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Council Vice President Escobar.
Yes. Okay, thank you. We have an ordinance, the next one is an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 10.2, Handicap Parking Zones for handicapped person to add 402 Sanford Street, Apartment 1, and 299 Townsend Street. Any members of the public who wishes to talk on this ordinance? Having none?
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Council Vice President Escobar.
Yes. Number 3, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Penalty. This is in reference to penalty for parking violations. Any member of the public would like to address the council on this particular ordinance?
Good evening, Council Vice President, members of the council, Charlie Cradaville, New Brunswick today. I'd like to ask about what's changing.
Mr. Valenti, is this you?
It's over here, Parallel.
Can you tell us a little bit about the penalties and parking violations ordinance?
Yeah, I did not draft the ordinance came from another department.
So it's my belief that we are changing some of the, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, this is Mr. Dominguez's ordinance as well.
Okay.
So what he's told me is that it's increasing the penalties for alternate side parking to achieve better compliance for street sweeping and bus stop parking. So the fees are going to be increased to $35 for alternate side parking and bus parking and violation of permit parking.
And they were?
So it was $25 for alternate side parking, $30 for bus stop parking, and $27 for permit parking. And it'll be $35 for all vehicles.
Sorry, what was bus?
Bus was formerly $30.
Oh, 30, okay.
Anything else, Mr. Carpenter?
Yeah, I gotta say this is, unfortunate that you would jack up the rates for these tickets. People are already paying to park here, and when people do get a violation, the fines here are already rather high compared to some other towns in the area. I would like to understand what's the motivation, what's the reason for increasing these fines and fees.
I'm assuming that the reason is to make sure that people abide by the rules, by the law, and to avoid having so many situations where people are parking bus stops, where they're parking the incorrect, where they're not supposed to. So maybe if they know that it's going to hurt their pocket, that they have to pay, maybe that would alleviate the challenges that we are experiencing in the city. Yes.
Council Vice President, you're absolutely right. And if Mr. Dominguez here, he would also add that there has been an issue and that people have been parking illegally It has been affecting street sweeping, which is not just a matter of, for street sweeping, but it's also a matter of a DEP requirement that we have our streets swept. And so this raising of the price is to curtail the violations.
Okay. Do you have any statistics to support this, increase in violators?
Mr. Dominguez received complaints. I'm sure he could help quantify that, but in terms of physical statistics, no.
Oh, well, of course, he's not here tonight, and so unless somebody does have those statistics, I would respectfully ask the council to table this and hold off. As you know, alternate side parking doesn't start until April, so you certainly have time, if that's the goal, to make sure that people are complying with alternate side. I think there's other things that could be done. I do think that the parking authority has been fiscally irresponsible and racking up hundreds of millions of dollars in debt, and I don't think that people who forget to move their car for alternate side parking should have to pay a punitive price for that. I think the fee as it is now is $25. That's satisfactory. I don't see why it's got to go up $10. And frankly, I don't know how many violators know what the fee structure is for each violation. It just seems like people are just going to end up paying more and still violating unless you do some sort of real change to your approach, educating people about why they should move their cars for alternate side parking and when the times and dates are. I know that many of the signs that are posted are confusing. I know there's not a lot of great communication in Spanish when it comes to these things, and ultimately I think the city can do better instead of just jacking up the price that folks pay when they do get caught with a violation. So respectfully ask, like the first ordinance, for you to table it to allow more time to examine, for Mr. Dominguez to be here, for the parking authority to weigh in, and hope that you'll find it in your heart to do that. Thank you.
My understanding is that a lot of these people are multiple violators.
And again, thank you for your comment, Mr. Carnival. Next.
Yes, I know more Somerset Street. I would like to also comment on this because I say it's not really the purpose, and I mentioned that parking authority meeting before. I say instead of really raising up the price first, I say the parking authority needs to take responsibility in making sure they have enough workers to go around to give out these tickets for when it's street cleaning. Due to where half the times if it says no parking from 1 to 3, due to where parking authority doesn't even show up in areas to give out tickets. And that's another reason why it's an issue with parking so much in the streets or to getting clean. It's not about just going up the prices, it's about the parking authority doing their job. And how many videos I've done took in to the meetings to show. Like, wow, if it says no parking from 1 to 3 for street cleaning, parking authority doesn't even come through and give tickets out. And I also spoke with the city before. Come on, that's not the issue for you to take out on everybody. The parking authority needs to take responsibility and making sure they have enough workers to write the tickets on every street for street cleaning. And like Mr. Cradaville said, I hope you do an investigation before you just go ahead and vote for something. Thank you for, like I said, taking the other one seriously, but I say the same matters now. Street cleaning isn't until April. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public on this ordinance? Having none, can I have a motion?
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Council Vice President Escobar.
Yes. We have ordinances on first reading. We have an ordinance to amend the management salary ordinance 2023-2025.
Move the ordinance setting down December 21st, same date to be advertised, December 21st, 2022.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Council Vice President Escobar.
Yes. Thank you. Second ordinance on first reading, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 10.2, Handicap Parking Section, Parking Zones for Handicapped Persons, adding 67 South Ward Street.
Move the ordinance setting down December 21st, 2022, same date to be advertised.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Council Vice President Council Vice President Escobar.
Yes. Third ordinance on first reading, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 13, Public Services, Chapter 13.04, Water Service System, Sewer Service System, schedule of charges. This is for water rates and sewer rates.
Move the ordinance setting down December 21st, 2022, same day to be advertised.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Council Vice President Escobar.
Yes. Number 4, in ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 10.12, Traffic Control Regulations. This is Traffic Control Regulations, Section 11, for bus stops, and Chapter 10.16, no parking at any time on Spring Street.
Move the ordinance setting down December 21st, 2022, same day to be advertised.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Council Vice President Escobar.
Yes. Thank you. At this time, we're going into the resolutions. We have resolutions 1 to 38. As we are preparing to open the meeting for the public for public comment on the resolution, just remember that it's only on resolutions, and you have up to 5 minutes and 1 time up to ask questions. If anybody from the public would like to speak to the council on this resolution, approach the microphone. Yeah. Yeah.
Good evening once again, Charles Prattville, New Brunswick today. Let's start with the annual audit at the bottom of page 3, numbers 14 and 15. Can somebody summarize the findings of the audit and what the city's going to do to correct the problems?
Mr. Mulvine?
Yes, I would remind the findings in the audit as it relates to interpretation of some of the city's ordinances with regards to fees. There were 2 comments on that. There were some adjustments made to how fees were being looked at within 2 departments to correct that issue. And then there was a 3rd item related to a payment plan that was put in place for a resident that was just not supposed to be there, so that was corrected as well.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. Who at the animal control authorized that unauthorized payment?
I don't have that information, Mr. Prattville, we will find that information later on.
Okay, and I'm curious, it was a payment for a fine, like a violation of the law?
Mr. Mulvine, do you know that answer?
I believe it was related to an impounding fee for an animal that a person was supposed to pay. There's a fee based on the number of days the animal is impounded, and then that fee's placed on that. It's a legal issue, but that was the issue.
Thank you.
And remind me, who's in charge of animal control these days? It's no longer part of the police, or is it?
Part of the police.
Part of the
I was gonna say
police.
that. The last time I checked, it was still the police, but.
Okay, so Mr. Barber, or?
The police department has responsibility for it, because the barber's a civilian in the police department.
Yeah, I mean, is there a person who's in charge of it?
Who will be in charge?
I believe that falls under, Captain Goldesky, am I wrong to say that falls under an operational matter under you, or?
Yes, administration, yeah.
So they will get in touch with you if they have any questions on animal control.
All right. Speaking of the police, I see 11 and 12 is purchasing 4 2023 Dodge Chargers with options. I want to understand how old are the vehicles that are being replaced, and why are we buying more big SUVs?
Do we have an answer for that?
These are sedans, they're 6-cylinder all-wheel drive sedans, and they're going to replace, when they come in, they'll replace Chargers we currently have in the fleet now. I believe they're 2008, 2010 models, so they're going to replace them.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's 6 of them that are being taken out of service?
Yes.
Okay. Got to study up on my car makes and models. This 17 is the intersection work at Easton and Albany. I know this is for, non pro tunc back to Monday, but what is the status of that work, and when will the intersection finally open the new, traffic signal?
Mr. Valenti?
Currently, the paving is complete, as everyone can observe. The line striping is scheduled. It would have happened already except for the rainy weather. I believe currently they are scheduled to come in on Friday for line striping, and I believe again one day next week. They need 2 days to complete. At that time, when all the line striping is in place, and the county is satisfied the signal is working appropriately, they can certify that to us. We'll open the intersection. I expect it to be sometime next week.
Thank you.
Okay. final two items I want to ask about, just to get some more information about what the city's doing with 31 is a clean energy planning grant. Can you give some insight into what that money will go towards?
Mrs. Pinello?
Yes.
I know the answer, but I'm going to never answer that one, okay?
So this is, my understanding is it's a Board of Public Utilities grant, and it's for a firm to develop a clean energy plan to inform any future city actions.
So it's to hire somebody who will be conducting a plan for us.
Develop a plan for
Yes,
clean
it's
energy
just something,
options.
yes.
Okay. And then finally, 35 is a 1.5 million for the Feaster Park improvements. I guess that's coming from the county. Can you clarify, what the improvements are and when the timeline is for them to open? I see the basketball courts are already open.
I don't know if, do we have a timeline of
Mr.
when
Valenti
it's
can
ready?
probably
Is that
advance on
anything?
that.
My contract, the contractor has, I believe, until May 31st. We are anticipated to be ahead of that. The significant earthwork has been completed. A high percentage, in the 95% range of all the subterranean piping work has been completed. Currently, an outside vendor is installing playground equipment. So the features are, there's a water feature, there's a beautiful walking circulation feature, there's an outdoor classroom, there's a plaza commemorating Mr. Robeson, there's another little amphitheater at the corner, a troop and handy for performances. So it's a well-rounded park. There's a lot of earth to reshape the park, but we still expect to be open by late spring.
Thank you.
Thanks. And just wanted to ask if the 1.5 million covers the full cost or if that's a portion.
Well, the next time we meet, next meeting, we'll have that question. But just to let you know, that money is divided in 3 years. So the city will get 500,000 first in 2023, 500,000 in 24, and 500,000 in 25.
Understood. Thank you.
Yes.
Good evening, New Brunswick Council and public. My name is Alexandria Harris. I'm a resident of Sayreville, 47 East Cup Street, Sayreville, New Jersey. I just had something I wanted to point out about the sedan purchases. In case public officials are not aware, there is a Sustainable Jersey Outreach Action Program.
I'm sorry, I don't want to
Yes.
stop you, but right now we are in resolutions.
Yes,
So
the
if you have
resolutions that were addressed concerning
So
the sedan.
which one is that,
purchases.
can you just name the number of the resolution?
I
that
do
you
not
referred
have a
to?
copy.
Police
So
vehicle,
I need to have that in order for,
the police vehicle one.
so now we have the
11
next
and
person.
12.
and then
11 and 12.
11 and 12.
Thank you. Okay.
So go ahead.
So resolutions 11 and 12, there is a Sustainable Jersey Outreach Action Program concerning municipal fleets and electrifying them. If you are hiring a private company to do a plan for clean energy, that should also cover vehicle purchases and electrifying municipality fleet. That has been done in Jersey City very well. Municipals have also purchased smaller purchases of like single or 2 vehicles at a time as well. There are also state grants available. If we are spending money to pay somebody to do a plan, we should also be proactive in the actions that we are taking right now. So I wanted to ask if there was any consideration towards electrifying the municipality fleet when this sedan purchase was brought up.
Do we have any plans on electrifying the municipal fleet?
Anytime the city considers purchasing a new vehicle, our purchasing division is required to look at whether or not there is an electric option. So it is in our process. We're also studying now how we can begin to electrify our fleet, not just with purchases of electric vehicles, but where would the charging stations reside? How many charging stations would we need? So it is the direction the city's heading, and we're doing our work in preparation.
Thank you, Mr. Julius. Thank you.
Yes, Danielle Moore, I just want to ask on 35, I don't have a resolution in front of me, I believe that's the Feaster Park one, the last one. So what I wanted to ask Mr. Valenti is basically will most of the soil, the dirt be removed or be repaved out?
Mr. Valenti, this resolution that she's referring to is actually about the Middlesex County money. Financially, it has nothing to do with the park itself, but just I will allow for you to answer that to Mrs. Moore.
Well, okay, thank you.
I was going to offer my services at the end of the meeting, but specifically the bulk of the soil will be reused? What's, the pile that's currently there is topsoil with a lot of grass mixed into it. That'll be fed through screeners, and any grass and material will be removed out. The soil will then be redistributed, and if additional soil is needed to complete, that additional soil will be imported into the project.
So Ms. Annie, if you have any further questions, you could ask Mr. Valenti after the meeting.
Thank you. Like I said, I didn't have any, there was no more paperwork, so like I said, I wasn't able to read the full resolution. I was just going by what Mr. Crowder was saying, but thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public
Give it to her next
to
time.
address the council on the resolutions? Have we done? Can I have a motion?
Move the resolutions.
Roll call?
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Egan,
Yes.
Council Vice President Escobar.
Yes. At this time, we're getting ready to open the public comment portion of the meeting. Just to remind everyone, it's 5 minutes. We are here to listen to your concerns. If we have any response to your concerns, we will address it at this time. If not, it will be addressed at the next meeting. Before we do that, my colleagues, any comments? Would you like to make any comments?
Nothing.
Okay, at this time, anybody who wishes to address the council, please go back into the microphone, name, address, and you have 5 minutes.
Hi, yes, Danielle Moore, Somerset Street. First, I would like to say thank you for taking the time to understand the project that was going on when I said, wow, did you guys get the same letter as the residents did, as the owners did, to show the difference of what your question was and what their situation was. So thank you for looking into that. But now I would like to speak on panhandling tonight. I know Mr. Jones mentioned to before to the public, but I'm asking, please stop supporting the panhandlers due to, we're sad to say, walking through George Street, we have lost 4 of our panhandlers within the 2 months. How sad. Please, as a person with a good heart where you feel you're helping them, due to where how, yes, I used to help them last year until I really seen that, wow, you're not helping them, you're enabling them, leading them, helping their situation. And like I said, it's very sad to see 4 of them go within 2 months. And yes, it was a connection to all of them, to each one of them with their situation. I know it's not easy due to where I've been through it. Wow, when you give someone money, then while you walk back around, you have to call an ambulance for them. Like, wow, what did I just do? So please, people, understand you're not helping them. You're just supporting their habits, and it's not good. Then also, I would like to speak on Code Blue. I will say to you, Mr. Keith Jones, yes, the thing that I posted on Facebook when I said towards protesting, what I was talking about, where I said thank you for protesting.
Excuse me. Can you just look at me when you are asking the question or making a statement?
Okay.
I appreciate it.
So what I was speaking on with the protesters, that was where they were saying about the police department is getting too much money. Where they were saying too much money going to the police department. Come on, too much money going toward the towers. Come on, we need more money to go to the police department. Where the Rutgers students were talking about when Rutgers gets $665 million. Come on, it's too much homelessness out here. I wasn't going against you. I say thank you that you did keep it at 32. And as I've been speaking, due to it, when it's 32, we have plenty of days. But one thing I have to say, I'm still a little upset with the police department as well. For one thing, if you do not have a phone, well, the only way that you find on Facebook with Code Blue, come on, the police department used to go around in the areas, Code Blue tonight, where what, and I'm pretty sure you can see on the video camera over there as well, people standing out there guessing, whether it's going to be Code Blue or not. So please, can the police department get back to spreading the word when it is Code Blue, because everyone does not have a phone, how they used to go to certain areas, and like I said, that's becoming a big issue. I will say I'm still waiting on the application from you, Mr. Jones, due to where I said I do have much more time now, due to where I don't have to take care of my mom anymore, that I can help out with cleaning up afterwards. I do have a little more free time during the day, not at night. So like I said, if you did say something about training before it does get super cold, I'm willing to help out with cleaning up around with Code Blue. Like I said, I wasn't going against you. Like I said, I was saying that about due to where, yes, people know that what? Too much money is going to the police department. Like I said, many people see that New Brunswick Police Department is getting paid to sit on their rear end, and nothing is really being too much done in New Brunswick. I would say, sad to say, 12 deaths from fentanyl alone since June. And why? Because the police department keeps saying, ooh, everything's marijuana. You can tell the difference between marijuana, K2, space, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl. And believe me, marijuana has no side effects as well as those other drugs. So yes, like I said, I pray and hope that, like I said, it's just too much sad news going throughout New Brunswick. I know you can't really put the pressure on the police department, but I say some of them goes to it because, like I said, some people have their problems. Like I said, I have family members who have problems. I work with them, and believe me, like I said, now, it took me 30 years to go through it, but like I said, I know how to work with people, talk with people, due to where, please, I just hope to see some better improvement. As a resident who's been here 45 years, in New Brunswick, I don't see no improvement other than luxury towers. Like I said, crime, homelessness, drugs, garbage, rodents, come on, it's off the hook in New Brunswick. And like I said, please, I just pray that New Brunswick Police Department will do a much better job than what they're doing now. Because like I said, too much going on, and it's sad.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Next.
Good evening, Alexandria Harris, 47 East Cuff Street, Sayreville, New Jersey. For more context, I also work in the city, I go to school in the city, I volunteered, and also have rented here. There are a couple of issues I'd like to bring attention this evening. Thank you again for coming together this evening. So one, I would like you to reconsider your decision on the recommendation that the Environmental Commission of New Brunswick made in regards to the Woodbridge Power Plant. If the plant is constructed, it would contribute to the climate change issue threatening our environment, community, social welfare, and health. New Brunswick is within the critical radius of emissions, and the plant poses a threat to children in the area, especially those in Perth Amboy. The proposed plant would emit 110 tons of carbon monoxide, 149 tons of nitrogen oxides, 39.9 tons of sulfur dioxide, and 8.9 tons of total hazardous air. Coupled with hundreds of tons of already existing air pollutants that all contribute to long-term diseases and economic risks, here in Middlesex County, we are already producing enough energy to support the demand with our 6 existing power plants. It appears to be another case of corporations putting profits over people. I would really like to thank Councilwoman Escobar for speaking on your individual views the last time I was here to speak on this matter. I'm calling on the council, especially council people who take a stand against the power plant, to start a motion to vote on the matter and make it, and hopefully become an agenda item for the next meeting.
Thank you. Anything else?
Well, yes, but would you consider putting a motion?
We just heard your concern, thank you, and that was something that we will take, we heard and we'll see. Thank you.
Okay. So point number 2 is the Dignity Center at Memorial Stadium. This is only open for very limited hours on 2 days a week, Tuesday and Friday. For more information, that is 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. and 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. as cited on your news on websites. I was wondering if you are interested or willing to use municipal funds to expand the hours. This is treating hygiene as a privilege for only those who have housing. This is unacceptable. These are people who may have lost their job or struggling with addiction or aren't getting the services they need because so many people are in need of housing assistance and food assistance. And yet showering is treated like a luxury item. Perhaps it is, comparatively to other countries, maybe, but why are we not using municipal funds to keep the Dignity Center open every day? So I just want to point out that you could use your funds to expand the hours.
Let me just ask Mr. Jones, because I thought it was 3 days that it was open. I just want to be clear, okay?
3 days is still not 7 days.
All right, it's 3.
So I just like, when you say 2 days, so we're just correcting your information. Do you have anything else that you would like to ask,
Yeah, sure.
to address?
So if the Dignity Center is 3 days, not 2 days, it's 2 shifts per day. And the idea of it was not to provide showers for people with housing. It was created during the pandemic when a specific population of the city didn't have anywhere to go. No bathrooms, no hand washing, none of that sort. And it was causing issues across the city. No houses of worship were open, no businesses were open, no organizations were opening. So we took it upon ourselves to create an emergency outlet for this population. So in lieu of anybody across the city or across the county doing anything, we picked the ball up. and did something with it. So we only stopped the Dignity Center when the population wasn't using it. So as much as we would love to believe that people will flood this place 7 days a week, there's a population out there that don't want to come take a shower every day. They don't want to use the service every day. So it became a situation where we were opening the service with nobody using the service, which was, we still use our own manpower, vehicles, utilities, all that stuff. So we were having people not show up throughout the entire winter. It picked up in the summer. So that's why we cut it to 2 days, back to 2 days. And now we're back up to 3 days. We're still not seeing the large numbers. We had a partner organization that were driving people there. All these things. So as much as we would like to believe if you build it, they would come, that's not the situation. So as much as we would like to think that that's the case, that's not the case. We're open and available to anybody that wants to use it, any partner organization that want to provide transportation to any of these people in this population. And it's not only for homeless people. We've had people shower that work for the city. We have people that shower that are married or got kicked out of their apartment for the night. So there's a stigma with the Dignity Center that it's only for the homeless population. That's also false. So I'm available to speak to anybody that would like to talk about it. I will stay here and talk to you, but I would like to provide more information before there's assumptions about the program.
And I wanted to say, I heard you, I'm running the meeting, and I heard the alarm. I know that when we were talking, we took some of your time, so I would allow you 2 more minutes.
Thank you. Okay, just want to clarify. So thank you for clarifying that it's open 3 days a week, but still not 7 days.
I address your statements.
Okay. And if there isn't the opportunity, then who's to say it won't, people won't come? I'm just saying, you haven't tested it 7 days a week, it seems, so it would be worthwhile to reconsider. Also, the location can also be an accessibility issue as well. There are pockets of homeless communities in certain parts of the city, so it's not everyone's going to be hanging out by the Dignity Center. I also wanted to call attention on a page on the New Brunswick website. And also I just wanted to point out, going back to the Dignity Center, you have proved higher demand from going from 2 to 3 days. So you could have higher demand for more days. So public transportation and biking infrastructure. You have a website, a page on your city site talking about Complete Street. We're not talking about it, referencing it, only mentioning it. Complete Street is a regional planning design element to implement more bike lanes, biking infrastructure, and bus lanes, making it accessible to all modes of transportation. You don't have an up-to-date bike lane map in the city. You also are neglecting the rise in interest in climate change and climate action. Again, you are taking the action to hire somebody to make a plan. Please also include protected bike lanes, lanes that are positioned between parked vehicles and the sidewalk. These are very simple ideas that have been brought to you and the planning board by other students, by other biking enthusiasts. You are also hosting Rutgers University, and there are a lot of students that are interested and surprised and shocked and also saddened that there is a lack of biking infrastructure that is sufficient and safe. If you do not have a road, you are not going to drive on it. If you don't have a bike lane that is safe, you're not going to ride it.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you. Next.
My name's Eric Niddle, resident of Old Bridge. I work in New Brunswick. I was a Rutgers student. I'm here to talk about, how would I like to put it? War on homeless people that this community is, the issues with the Code Blue centers and things of that nature. They're funded about $90,000 a year through grant through the county, correct? However, I'm aware of quotes and things like that where there was money offered at certain points that stipulated that laundry would have to be done consistently. That is not. I know people who go to these shelters, I talk to them every day, and there's blood on sheets, there's disgusting sheets, there's piles of pillows, that's it. There's one person manning this. At this point, the idea that these dignity centers, that they're open 3 days a week, and that if we build it, they will come. If you build a pile of turds, nobody's going to come to that pile of turds. That's how it is. At the end of the day, these are not built to it's basically built to say, look, we did it. but not actually doing anything, because this isn't accessible for these people. I talk to these people each and every day. I go out to the city, I feed people where they need to be fed, like that's what we do. Like we go out there to where people are and see what the issues are, and this is their issues. There's people who don't go to the code blue because of the stipulations of how they're gone about. Like they are essentially just like, people at this point are unsure if they're going to be open some nights or not. They'll get turned away for X reason, and at this point, like I cannot see this as anything other than a hostile action. And so I guess my issue would be, how do we turn this around in a way that actually benefits the people of this community? Because right now that is not the case. Right now we have a system in place that is essentially letting people out, like to go to the cold and die, or go in a place where they are literally watched over by people while they sleep. This is stories I get from people where there are literally the employees of it will just stand over them on their bed and things like this. I think it is a wholly unprofessional setup, and the idea that this is some bastion that we built during the pandemic to help people in need is an absolute joke. That is more than a joke. I don't know if you believe it at this point, because you go out here and see how things get worse. You see the fines that people get for getting $1 in the street. That's a $130 fine. And then these homeless people are then asked to go to Zoom court when they don't have a phone at the same time. And then their warrants get run. And then you ask, why are there more homeless people? What's going on? This is just a problem compounding on itself consistently. So I guess at the end of this is a big picture problem, but in the small picture, how do we fix these issues with the code blues? We look at what happens in other counties where they leave them open from one point to another instead of this runaround where you have to call numbers that don't have answers at the end of the day. They don't have answers because there's a lack of communication here, there's a lack of funding, there's a lack of staffing. There is a multitude of issues here that need to be addressed because at the end of the day, people will die from this. That is the thing that I think is there's this sanctimonious attitude of this from this position where it's just like, oh, we're doing this for them to keep this from happening. No, people will die and they will continue to die because this is just a need that is not being fulfilled at the end of the day. I think it's very funny to take the position of we're doing this for them when I've seen quotes that have said oh, don't feed the panhandlers, let them run from one place to the other. We're going to not give them money so they go to the next place, and then they won't get money to go to the next place. It is a joke to act like this is something out of the goodness of the city's hearts when it is doing the bare minimum so that you don't get wrapped on the wrist by teachers. That's what it comes down to. That's kind of it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Council. My name is Jasmine Haywood. I was born and raised in Franklintown. Actually, I was born in New Brunswick at St. Peter's. I'm a 2-time graduate from Rutgers University. I have 2 issues to bring in front of the Council tonight. I'm also going to join in the sentiments about the Code Blue situation. This is a human rights situation. I see this gentleman, I'm addressing you, I see this gentleman shifting around and rolling his eyes about the Dignity Project. Dignity deserves 7 days a week, not 3 days a week. That's unbelievably important for anybody to sit here and act like you're personally doing somebody a favor when there are people out here who are losing their jobs. The moratorium has run out, and all of us are residents of this area, and we know that there's an uptick of homeless people. And I would love to talk to the gentleman from the Dignity Center, because 3 days a week, it's nonsense, it makes no sense. Please implement Code Blue. I've heard of times where people were vacated in the middle of the night. Homelessness is not being, excuse me?
I said it's hearsay. You say people say it's hearsay.
We're not illegal.
Excuse
We're not
me,
illegal.
Miss, I'm sorry. We apologize. Let's start. Come on, finish. We're not going to start with this back and forth. Trying to run this respectfully. So, go ahead.
I would like to also wish all of you a happy holiday. I am here to also oppose the Keysby resolution. because we, as an area, we live in a sanctuary, protected area. In 2021, I believe September 2021, Governor Murphy signed into an Environmental Protection Act, and this second power plant on the grounds of the first power plant in Keysby Woodbridge is going to contaminate the water, and we will all feel the effects of that. I'm not saying fossil fuels are a terrible thing. I believe that they're not sustainable. I know for a fact that in 2060, children who are born today, who are going to be 27, might have to have a commodity for clean air and water. And that would be a nightmare, and that is a human rights issue. It's something hopefully everybody takes seriously. The effects of greenhouse gases are monumental. I have asthma. I have a hard time breathing on days where the heat index is hard, and it just gets worse and worse. And we can't ignore the fact that climate change is affecting every single one of our everyday lives. And I appreciate it, and I yield my time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Robert Vasquez. I was born and raised in New Brunswick, still being raised because I'm a high school student. During my childhood, I've learned that there's a lot of issues in New Brunswick, such as the homeless rate in New Brunswick. I've been saying, ever since I was a kid, I was like, the government's got to do something to help these people. I want to do something to help these people. And during my time as a kid, I learned that the city government has been trying to ban homelessness, which is inhumane. And here we are now in 2022, and there's still homeless people in New Brunswick. Recently, the weather was 29 degrees, I believe. Yeah, 29 degrees, and there was no code blue. And apparently, it was because the Middlesex County didn't tell y'all to, open code blue. And I'm just asking why? Why are you not, doing something about it? There's definitely got to be more communication when it comes to helping the people. Can you not go outside and see how cold it is? Like, can you not check your phones? Yeah, exactly. It was 29 degrees. You have your phone right here. And I'm just asking for y'all to be more, how you say the word, cooperative. Because, y'all been elected to work together, to work with other government officials to get things done, and y'all are not doing it right now. And, we elected you for a reason, to get things done. And so I just beg that y'all begin doing something to at least help the people in the Brunswick, especially the homeless people. And, I yield my time. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ming An. I'm a Rutgers student, and I'll keep it brief. I'm just here to pretty much echo the same concerns everyone else has been voicing. Like, as a previous commentator mentioned, blood on the sheets, it's just kind of outrageous to me that with the conditions being offered, there's not more of a sense of urgency, I guess, to meet the needs of people who live in the city. The dehumanization is really frightening, and I guess as far as the Dignity Center stuff goes, there's definitely money to provide every possible service we would need to provide. So what I'm referring to is the idea that well, if we did it 7 days a week, as we are doing it right now, people aren't coming, and no one's stepping in to provide transportation. You guys are the government, so if you guys want to provide that transportation, the funds are there for it. There's loaded departments within the city. There's, certain departments and certain offices that get $17 million of funding that could be defunded to, some extent to put some kind of services forward for the people who are marginalized within this city. I don't know, it's just nightmarish. Again, I'm pretty much just echoing what's already been said, but people are dying and are going to continue to die. Weather conditions are getting pretty extreme, and the resources are there to provide the shelter and resources that these people need. And yeah, if you talk to homeless people out on the streets and other people who use these services, it's really evident why they're not using it if there's kind of this sense of supervision, or if they're not being treated like humans there. I really think that could be something to reflect on. And then I guess one other thing I wanted to mention specifically is just this idea that like, yeah, I forget who had mentioned it, but if you're not getting the word out and you have to like call to figure out when code blues are happening, homeless people don't have phones because they keep getting stolen. It's really difficult to keep them, functioning and just on your body when you're out on the streets. So there's definitely ways to get the message out. I believe a resident I was talking to a little bit ago told me that there used to be, yeah, I think police used to go out and just kind of give out, siren or whatever, give out the word, yo, there's code blue tonight. That's doable. There's funding for that. I don't really see the point. I mean, besides just sheer cruelty, I can't imagine why these kinds of services have been cut. And yeah, if you're just kind of choosing it day of and setting it off whenever, flipping back and forth about it, it's just, again, like blatant and flippant disrespect for the lives of the people in the city who you govern. What you govern? But yeah, the resources are there and the blood's on your hands.
Anybody else?
I guess I'll hold it. Hi everyone, my name is Amber Sadia, I'm a resident of New Brunswick. I also would like to express some concerns in regards to Code Blue. Just the other night, Monday evening, there was an alert sent out stating that there would be a Code Blue pushed forward for that night, and shortly after, the post was deleted and said that there would be no Code Blue for Monday evening, even though the weather got as cold as 29 degrees, as my friend Robert mentioned earlier. From my understanding, the Middlesex County folks stated that there was no need for a Code Blue, so the city government of New Brunswick decided to push it aside. Do we need approval from the county to do a Code Blue?
Right here.
You do? Sorry.
Right here.
This is the part I understand. Do you need a?
If needed.
Yeah. It is needed, you stated?
Mr. Jones is needed? Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay, interesting. Is there opportunity for further discussion in regards to that, or do they just have the final say? Mr. Jones, you don't mind.
Do we have any opportunities?
There's always opportunity to discuss. There's
There's
always
always an opportunity to discuss.
Yeah. If you don't mind, if I could just ask Mr. Jones one last question. Is there a reason why you were reluctant in going forth with the Code Blue when you initiated a Code Blue earlier in the night? Yeah, Monday evening, it ended up being as cold as 29 degrees.
Yeah, actually. Yeah. So there was actually the opposite of reluctancy. I actually called the Code Blue out of muscle memory, So we've been in a string of Code Blues. I called the Code Blue because I saw the county email, not knowing that the county email actually said there will be no Code Blue. So, so once I called the Code Blue, the county called me and said, hey, we didn't call Code Blue tonight. Knowing that we've been foot to the pedal on our staff, I pulled the Code Blue back. I emailed all of the partners, let them know, our PIO, and that was the matter.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, I understand that. You said that you're short on staff. I think that displays the opportunity for more resources to be allocated to Code Blue services. There are many individuals who are in need of shelter. As winter is brewing and it's just going to get colder and colder, these communities need safety. They need warmth. Many individuals are, without resources. A lot of times, they get their belongings stolen. Items like a blanket that would keep them warm. And so it's really essential that we have these resources available for the public to utilize, especially as, it's just going to get colder. In regards to other issues that I would like to bring up, I also stand by, making a point to add the Keysby Power Plant to the agenda for next City Council's meeting. We need to protect our environment, and we are an environmental justice community, and so it's dire need, making sure that we have clean air, clean water, and right now, if we go forth and just ignoring that this proposal is occurring within, our region, our county, we're going to have large effects to our most marginalized communities. And so, I definitely would appreciate and recommend going forth with adding this to the agenda. And yeah, I think that's all I would like to say. I yield my time, thank you.
Thank you. So, before we end the meeting, there's any other comments? Did you talk already? No, I'm sorry, go ahead. What's going to be responsible?
Thank you.
I was going to yell, Mr. Carter, I thought I was kind of easy.
We can't have that. For one final time, Charlie Craddock, New Brunswick, today. I want to start by recognizing and saying congratulations to Ms. Gaskins, the soon-to-be new member of the council, who I see is here tonight. Congratulations. I have to follow up on the water utility situation from 9 years ago, where the city was fined over $300,000. I've asked now at 2 meetings in a row, did the city pay the fine? I've been promised that answers will be forthcoming at future meetings, but haven't heard one yet tonight. Can you tell me if the city's paid that fine?
So it's a matter that's under regulatory discretion. It's similar to matters under litigation. You can't discuss those matters, unfortunately.
So that tells me you didn't pay the fine if it's still active.
You didn't say that.
It's a matter under regulatory consideration, like all litigated matters, we don't discuss them.
There's no discussion in that, so he didn't say that.
Okay, well, you know full well that you have discussed it before, so it's just, less transparent than we were 9 years ago, which is saying something. I got to weigh in on the Code Blue. I think the system that's in place is not working. Obviously, making a call on a daily basis and trying to get the word out through the channels that you're doing is not adequate. I think the space itself is not adequate. And I got to ask, what's the outcome if the city did move ahead with a Code Blue anyway on Monday and honored the initial promise to do it? What would have happened? Would there be a punishment to the city for opening the building to people who needed a place to be warmed?
Mr. Jones?
No, I think we just set a bad precedent.
So yeah, obviously, we think differently about this. I think it would be a good precedent on a night when it's freezing cold or near freezing or maybe going to be freezing for the city to move ahead, get the word out, and give people a safe place to stay overnight. I think, obviously we need so much better. We need, housing for everyone permanently, but, this was a mistake, right? The temperature ended up being 29 degrees. And, I don't think we should keep playing it like this until somebody dies or as more people die from the elements. That's not acceptable. And I just wanted to ask you, Council President, if you find it acceptable that the county didn't call the Code Blue and that we didn't have one here in New Brunswick on a night that was 29 degrees.
That's not for me to go, but I will have a statement after everybody's talking about that.
Okay, well, I'll look forward to your statement. I hope that the city will make changes to Code Blue to expand. If 32 degrees is cutting it too close, up the number and just say we're going to do it. Some counties, as has been said, do it every night for months. So I don't know why, here in New Brunswick, where we have hundreds of people with no home, we can't offer at least what Hudson County is doing or what Somerset County is doing. And I think that, the community deserves better. It's, as has been said, housing is a human right and dignity is for everyone. So what the city's currently offering is insulting. And I think we need to move in a different direction. And obviously, what happened Monday should be unacceptable to everyone. I have to follow up on police matters. I've asked about a number of them, the clearance rates. Is it fair to say that 9 out of 10 serious violent crimes don't get solved by the New Brunswick Police Department?
I'm not going to say that's fair because I don't know where you got those information from. But anything going to the police is something that is not going to change. They have a procedure to follow the questions about the police, and it's to put it in writing. So that will continue. So if you have anything in terms of the police channels, follow it in writing, and until you get the answer that it's not that you're looking for, you get the answer. But sometimes you get the answer, but you're looking for something else. So just follow the procedure and the protocol.
Well, an answer would be a good start. And I know you remember a year ago when we had that meeting on the phone and you let the police answer questions and it kind of went off the rails, and now all of a sudden we can't ask the police questions here at this microphone.
Those are, again, the protocol changed after that.
Right.
It's a change in protocol. So I'm following the protocol that exists right now.
And
I'm standing today for Council President Susan Zicola wait, so the protocol is to any inquiries about the police department to do it in writing, right? So right now tonight, I'm following that protocol. So if you have anything related to the police department, please put it in writing tonight. You know,
Okay. I'll follow up. May I ask whose protocol it is? Is it the council president's?
It was a protocol that was instituted, I think, that the police department, I'm not sure. So,
Yeah, well, I'll say happy holidays and we need more transparency. That's all I want for Christmas this year.
So at this time, thank you
We
everyone.
got 2 more speakers.
She already spoke.
All right, so you got 1 more speaker.
Yeah, because I'm going to say something about comment on all the things that they have said, so if you give me a chance real quick. I just want to thank you for all of those who came in to talk about the homeless situation. Obviously, you haven't been in these council meetings because you know that this council is very well aware, and I'm one of the hardest critics for Pope Luke, and he knows it, and I'm saying it in public. He knows. So I'm always looking at what is the best practices and what is the best. I have been out there talking to homeless people. I know churches that are going out there helping right now, and they have been doing it for such a long time. I think that although, you know, like I said, I'm the hardest critic there is for the program when there is not done correctly, in my opinion, right? But I'll tell you something. Code Blue has been in operation early before, you know, this year, early in November, you know. They have been there for weeks and weeks. We made one mistake on Monday, and it's like the world fell, you know, you are thinking that this is something that is like, oh my God. Again, these are volunteers as a staff person there. I'm not saying that it's nothing that is, I'm not saying that I'm not recognizing your concern. I recognize that I live here too, you know, and I live around people who are homeless, so I know what is being done. So I know a captain of police who goes every night to make sure that the homeless has, you know, they have blankets, they have socks, and they have what they need. So it's not like this council have not been doing, and I will offer you, since you're so eager and so happy, that's why I'm happy to see you, all of you here talking and really relating and so concerned about our community. Take a chance to volunteer. Volunteer with the church, volunteer at the Dignity Center, volunteer and see and help out, because talking is one thing, but we cannot do the talk unless we do the work. What I appreciate, I appreciate your concern. It's the concern that we all have. We're doing our best. There's always room for improvement, and we will continue to improve. There's many things that they still need to be improved. But take the opportunity, do the work. If you do the talk, do the work, and help out there when you see somebody or join the city and there's different organizations that are helping the homeless in the community. Because it is a big issue. It is something that we need to tackle, and I know for a fact that the city eventually will be able to tackle this in a more direct and impactful way. Thank you, Mr. Jones. You got the floor before I adjourn the floor.
All right, Keith Jones, really quickly. So I would like to thank everybody that came up and spoke. I actually appreciate the enthusiasm during the winter months. It's not as enthusiastic during the warmer months when homelessness is actually at its hardest. Most people think that the winter time is the only time that people are homeless and in need. We don't see scores of people protesting. We don't see scores of people raising hell in the summertime when the individuals that's been flooded with 15 coats, 8 sleeping bags, 5 pair of boots, and 20 sweatsuits are trying to lug all that around across the summer. We only see it in the winter when people around the holiday time want to feel like they're actually doing something to help the homeless. Feeding people throughout the streets is a band-aid. It causes more people to stay in the areas that they know that the food is coming, and it also prevents them from going into particular venues because they know that the food is coming out. I've heard a bunch of things tonight that I don't take personally, but I do want to make sure that if there's going to be a conversation that's going to continue to be had, that you have the conversation with the people that actually know. I heard Franklin, I heard Saraville, I heard Old Bridge. All 3 of them do not have a code blue. We are one of 4 municipalities in Middlesex County that runs a code blue. There's Dunellen, there's Plainsboro, there's Perth Amboy, and us. Out of those 4 municipalities, we are the only public code blue. We are the only code blue that accepts adults, children, dogs, cats, and birds. We are the only Code Blue that accepts over 10 people. We are the only Code Blue that actually advertises. We are the only Code Blue that takes people from outside of the municipality. We don't ask for IDs, we bring people in. The notion that there were some police, like we're kind of policing people there, we've had 8 overdoses within the first 15 Code Blues. So as much as we would like to believe that we're keeping people out, we are providing people a safe space overnight. The emergency Code Blue is not a shelter, it's a warming center. We're not even supposed to provide cots, but we do that because we know people want to get a good night's rest. We change out, we don't even have pillows, so that idea that there's pillows and sheets, that's also a false statement. The reason why the Code Blue was pulled back on Monday, Mr. Crowderville and whoever else, is the legislation clearly says that the has to be 32 or below for a period of 2 hours or more. It was not a period of 2 hours or more that night at 29 degrees. So that's why the county pulled it, that's why we pulled it. All right, so we've been running Code Blue for 12 years. I did Code Blue for the first 5 years volunteer. I was also homeless, so the idea that we're somehow sitting up here thinking that we're holding them down and doing these people a service, as pity, we know exactly what this is. We've been doing it, we do the work. We have not had volunteers in the last 3 years. So for all the people that stand outside of these buildings and say F keep drones, build homes, I have not seen any of these people or seen them volunteer. Now, if anybody would like to have a conversation with me, and that goes for anybody in this room, anybody, about how they can participate and help out with Code Blue, other than lip service, I'm all ears, and I will provide the space for you to work. The Dignity Center itself, if we couldn't fill up 3 days, why would we do 7 days? So as the demand goes, we build the demand. We build the demand and we build the space. We have no less than 20 partners who provide everything from shower equipment, from sleeping bags, to shower gel, to slippers, to robes, to towels. We have a laundering service, haircuts, you name it, we have it. There's a notion that every homeless person wants service. That is inherently false. And if you don't know that, you don't know homeless people. There are drug addictions. There are rules and regulations. You can't smoke, you can't do drugs, you can't drink inside of these places. For those reasons, there are many homeless people that do not want to come into these spaces. It's not a situation where they're being barred. It's not a situation where we're policing them. This is a matter of the city providing an emergency assistance to anybody who needs it, anybody who wants it. The last thing I'll add is that we are the county seat. So for any homeless individual that needs to see their case manager, that needs to see a social service director, or anybody, they have to come to New Brunswick. Somebody spoke about their phones being stolen and all that. That's all very true. So what happens when you don't have a phone? You come down here and you actually talk to your case manager. What happens when you get down here to talk to your case manager? Some do-gooder gives you a bowler suit and a coat. What happens then? I'm gonna stick around and see what else I can get. And these people stay here. We have homeless people from all across the state of New Jersey and beyond that have got stuck in New Brunswick and are still here and have been here for 4 years. Towns like Saraville, towns like Old Bridge, towns like Highland Park, Piscataway, they do not provide the service because they say they don't have any homeless people. So all the homeless people come to the city of New Brunswick because we're on the busiest rail line in the state of New Jersey, in the country. We have Rutgers University, we have the 2 major hospitals and all these other resources. And I'm taking this time to educate right now. So the idea is that once these people get here, we are left holding the bag and our job is to serve them. Under the guidance of the mayor said, look, we don't care where they're from, if they're here and within the city limits, we serve them. And that's what we've been doing. We've been doing it for 10 years and we've been doing it without talking. So we do the work, we don't have to brag, we don't have to boast about the work that we're supposed to be doing. So if there's any conversation that needs to be had or should be had, I'm available. My cell phone number, my personal cell phone number is at the bottom of every nixle, at the bottom of every email that goes out for Code Blue, letting people know that they can contact me personally to participate. I have not received one phone call yet. So again, nobody's hiding. This is the work we do day in and day out, and we do it all year round, not just on the winter. So with that being said, I am still available for anybody that would like to discuss after this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, and yeah, take the opportunity to, we're done, we're done.
But I know
We
if
spoke,
nobody else
we're
has
done.
comments,
We are
that I
done,
could.
we are done. Meeting is done, you already came, thank you. Just take the opportunity, volunteer, call Mr. Jones, find out what churches, what organizations are doing, and let's help the homeless all together. I give a determination to adjourn. Roll call.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Council Vice President Escobar.
Yes. We adjourn. Thank you, have a good night.